Hello, this is Kirk Whittig. I will be presenting on a HARVXTRA market study, alfalfa breeding focus. This was done on SurveyMonkey for GRC 605, Dr. Nigel Bosta's class. The agenda is broken into three parts. First, we'll discuss the layout of a liquor item. Second, we'll go through some key words. These are words or aspects to consider per Dr. Nigel Bosta. Finally, we'll do a review of the actual survey itself. Looking at the liquor item, per Charles Custer, they should contain four primary aspects. They should be horizontally arranged. They should contain consecutive integers that are evenly spaced and have polar opposite labels centered around a neutral type comment. The fifth item, although not part of a liquor item, is an item that's relevant to all survey questions. They should have a measurement of agreements or disagreements with a target state. So here's a quick look at how a liquor item is arranged or what it should contain in visual form. Again, you can see it is horizontal. We have negative here, neutral here, and positive here. There are consecutive integers that are evenly spaced. We have polar opposite statements to help anchor this with our numbers or values. This is a strongly disapprove statement. Here we have a undecided statement. Then we have a strongly approve statement. Below is an example of a liquor item survey question. This is one that I actually created for this work, and I just wanted to step through an actual survey question. So here you can see we do have the horizontal orientation. We have a positive and negative statement that are centered around an average or a neutral type of statement. So here, excellent product performance, positive, neutral. Then we have underperforms as the negative. Purpose. So the survey is principally designed to determine grower satisfaction with HARVXTRA technology. HARVXTRA is the first alfalfa package that has been introduced to the market that has both a stable quality trait as well as the Roundup Ready technology attached to it. So most of the questions that I've designed are going to gravitate around the idea of the mode function so that we might know what most grower respondents think about the value of HARVXTRA. We can determine things like, do they feel that they get the value for their money by planting and buying HARVXTRA? As you'll see a little bit later, I have designed a question to offer an X and a Y axis so that I will be able to extrapolate from that things more along the lines of like a median and a mean. Another aspect to go over is clarity. So the clarity, or kind of relating back to the purpose, is I think those two are interconnected, and so we want to know if growers actually can extrapolate, understand the value of HARVXTRA technology while also relating it back to our breeding efforts. So if we can get clarity from their responses and understand what they understand about HARVXTRA, we can also, as a double fold, continue our breeding efforts along certain trait items like yield, for instance. If yield is very important to them, or that double stack trait, we can continue to release more HARVXTRA type products that are stacked with Roundup and the low lignin trait. The layout and visual impression. The layout of the survey is designed for user simplicity as well as survey efficiency. I do think it's worth noting that the layout is confined by the parameters in terms of visual appeal by SurveyMonkey itself, but it does seem like there's a lot of flexibility in terms of how you can lay the actual question out. So for cases of Likert scale, we can get it to be horizontal. It does not have to be, though, in terms of what SurveyMonkey offers. Content relevance is normally distinguishable by people close to the issues. So I think you'll just have to take my word that the content of this is valuable. Land O'Lakes Forage Genetics, we spent $240 million on the development and deregulation of the HARVXTRA trait package. And so I think it's deserving of further follow-up. It is relevant. The utility is both sample design and sample size are important to establish the representativeness of the sample for generalizability. So if the appropriate sampling design is not used, a large sample size will not afford population generalizations, just like a small sample size will not either. Therefore, the sampling decisions should consider both the sampling design and size, since neither too large nor too small of a sample will be useful for us. Another point of consideration is whether statistical significance is more relevant than practical significance. So for instance, a correlation of 25% may be statistically significant, but since it might only account for 6% of the variance, it might not be very meaningful in terms of practical utility. We have not got to the actual data gathering portion of this. It's purely design. So I think utility will become more important as we start to actually gather and extract data. Examination of the survey. So I'm going to go through each question here and talk about this a little bit. So as I mentioned earlier, I have an X and a Y axis. So that growers can go through and rate yield. How useful of an aspect is that to them? Or is it not useful in this case? Stand persistence. So how long will the alfalfa stand be in the field? Quality. Are they able to put up high quality hay? Is that important to them? And then that is the purposes of some of the genetics behind this particular trait, is to really increase the quality as well as provide flexibility of either going for more yield or stand persistence and quality. It's also stacked with the Roundup Ready trait. So I think by attaching this portion, we can figure out where on the scale this question lies. So is that stacked trait and ability not very useful, or is it highly useful? Again, this is the example I used earlier, so I'm not going to spend too much time here other than there you can see per previous discussion, this is a Likert item. This is also one, and the question is, how innovative is your HARVXTRA alfalfa product? This question is designed to determine innovation. So did we do a good job? Did we get something new to market, something novel, which our company thinks we did, but we want to make sure that growers understand that proof of concept. If they do not respond that it is innovative, we could then encourage more training, more info, kind of graphics to get out there and help explain what this alfalfa technology will allow them to do. How would you rate the value for the money? This is hands down on a per acre basis the most expensive alfalfa package to plant. Conventional alfalfas run about $12 an acre, where this is upwards of $48 an acre. So we want to make sure that, based off the other one, they understand the entire technological package that this is allowing them, and then also making sure, correlating between the last slide and this one. If they don't maybe see that there's a value, do they also feel that, it's not an innovative technology? And so I think these two, slide 3 and 4, will really work together to help us narrow that question down and potentially go back for further follow-up questions. How likely are you to replace your non-HARVXTRA alfalfa with HARVXTRA alfalfa? So this is really getting at growers who've tried it and experienced it. Are we going to know how much they like it based off this question? I think we will. If they're willing to step up and pay that large of a difference between an acre price for the seed, we know that it's innovative. We know that they understand what the technology package offers, etc. So this is really just to hone in and make sure everything is matching up, and understanding that growers understand what we're offering. So the key takeaways for me was that this is obviously not my first run around on recording each slide. So verbalizing one's intent really helps hone in the study's purpose, which is important to remember going forward. I did have to go back and tweak some of the questions after verbalizing them, because my first stab was really just kind of getting questions up there, working with SurveyMonkey, figuring out how it works. And then second, third go around, just really figuring out, okay, yeah, if I ask this question and get it to design like this, like my slide or question number 1, being able to get that X and Y axis, I thought was really important, and I wouldn't have ever stumbled upon that unless I had verbalized it. I also found out SurveyMonkey is extremely user-friendly, fun, and effective as a survey making tool. Then it kind of left me pondering the idea, well, is the data collection process also going to be user-friendly? I hope that it will, and I think probably future classes I will soon find out. Finally, I found that liquor items are simple to set up and use, which is useful, or which is helpful and useful considering there are many aspects to consider during a research process. I'd like to thank you for watching. I'd also like to invite you to ask me any questions you might have regarding this. Finally, here are the references that help me set up not only the survey questions and designs,